Apple not allowing their iOS apps on Mac? I said before that it makes sense from a consumer standpoint, and not very many people are going to be like you or I that are going to want to run our iOS apps. But it does sort of point to the fact that, as usual, and if I was going to be critical, I would say Apple are telling us what we can and can't do with the hardware by limiting on the software side. Now, that's both a good thing and a bad thing. I must admit, when I first got my first iPhone, after being I never had an Android. I went straight from Nokia, or Nokia, as we call it here in Australia. Nokia, got a Nokia. Oh, I've got my light on. Turn off. Go straight from a Nokia smartphone to an iPhone. So I didn't even do the Android thing. But the one thing that I did not like when I first started using iOS is that it locked everything down. And yes, you can jailbreak, yes, you can do all that. But you can only install the apps from the App Store. That all being said, I actually like that now. Like I said, old man Pete wants convenience. I like the fact that I don't have to think. Apple do the thinking for me, and I don't have to work out, is this app going to brick my phone? Is this app going to steal my data? Yes, it still may if something slips through the cracks, but I at least know that there's that layer of Apple that are protecting me. So the question is, should that layer of Apple protect us from ourselves when it comes to iOS apps? Should Apple have opted out of porting? It's not porting because it just runs them, of allowing their iOS and their iPad apps to run on the Mac M1? Or should they have opened it up and said, maybe you have a tick box? And this is what a lot of folks have been saying. They're like, just put a tick box there, Apple, and say, I accept that this might be a bit weird and clunky. But here's the thing. I don't think Apple want to do that. I don't think they want people to have a poor experience, even if that person says it, because you know what's going to happen? They're going to be like me. They're going to go onto the internet and they're going to show how badly GarageBand iOS doesn't work on the M1 architecture. So I think that's what it's going to do. We've also talked in the past that they're just different ecosystems and they will come together eventually. But at the moment, yeah, there are differences. So we talked about, let's show an example here. We'll show a live example here because our friends over at Clevegrand make plugins, and they make plugins for both the Mac, or both AU for Mac, VST for PC, and AUV3 for your iOS products. So let's come over here to the Clevegrand website and take a bit of a look here. So we've got like their new shaker percussion. I actually have this app. I haven't tried it yet. They're shaker percussion. So let's come in here and have a look, because usually they'll release these as two different versions. And yes, they haven't disappointed me. Mac OS and Windows, $49.99. iPad, $19.99. So 2.5 times, and that's about on average. Most of your plugins are about 2.5 times the cost on the desktop as they are on iOS. Now, this isn't because the iOS versions are inferior anymore. Quite the opposite. They're usually on par exactly with what is actually available in the desktop versions. We have just been lucky because of the 99-cent app culture that came out when the App Store was launched. Developers just simply can't charge the full price that they should be charging for their apps. So they have to heavily discount them for mobile, because despite the fact that there is no quality difference, the perception quality difference is still there. So all of your apps are going to be cheaper. So that's the other reason that I'm seeing here, is that they're not going to go down this path of just having one app, because developers are not going to make enough money back to continue to pay their people and continue to develop apps. So yeah, what do I think here? I don't know. I'm more interested in what you think, is whether you think that it won't happen now. Apple are not going to open up their iOS apps to Mac M1, regardless of what we say and how much I rant. That's my view. But yeah, why wouldn't they is the question. Good news front, Scott, again, who sent me some videos and tested this out, confirmed that Aura Pro is available. Now, whether that's because they deliberately did it or they just forgot to opt out, who knows? But when I get my Mac today, hopefully today, fingers crossed, I will check that straight away. But one of the first things I'll try is Aura Pro on the Mac. And Cubasis, no sign of it. And so it sounds like Cubasis have indeed opted out. That doesn't surprise me, because Cubasis sell a desktop app called Cubase. So they don't want their mobile apps being used on a desktop device.